all I can do is talk to you. And if you've got something to say back, it's okay. It might turn into a discussion. We have so few here, but don't get me wrong, I appreciate you guys being here. I thought if the word ever got out that we wouldn't have anybody. So I don't know. I don't know how much it got out. I can't tell. I can't tell what this means. Yeah, and the mice will play. Some usually. But no, y'all are not like that. I appreciate it. Well, a while back I was thumbing through Psalms, and I lighted on Psalms 46. So there's an element of what I'm going to talk about that's going to be taken out of Psalm 46. There's an element that's going to be taken out of the hymnal. We're going to look at the words of Martin Luther. And I forgot, what page was that in y'all's hymnal? My hymnal's different, so. A mighty fortress is our God. A mighty fortress is our God. So we're going to look at some of those words. And the subject of rivers. So there's about 3 elements that we're going to end up looking at. And it's not going to be long and drawn out or anything like that. I thought I would pose the question of God's majesty and his power. I have to. Okay, thank you. Well, let me ask you this. When you think about God the Father, or the person of God the Father, when you do think about him, what do you see? What can you describe what you're looking at in your own mind? What are his characteristics? You can say mercy, it's a good one. The L word, love. God so loved the world. Okay. What else? When you contemplate God the Father,
long-suffering.
Long-suffering. Okay. Power. I think you hit the bullseye as far as I was concerned. God could pretty much squash the whole world in a blink if he wanted to. So why does he keep on? You know, we keep saying, God, things are getting worse and worse and worse. And, you know, why didn't he come? And stuff like that. Sorry. It's going to keep doing that because I didn't get it turned down. Anyway, why would God wait? Long-suffering. Okay, is he waiting for a particular person? Is he waiting for a particular race of people, group, or what have you? Have you thought much about why he's waiting?
Well, as many as he can to be with him.
Okay, that's usually the answer, is that he just feels so bad for us that he keeps waiting and hoping that, you know, he can get more and more in there. I forgot what the exact number was, but I read somewhere that, I'm sure it's in the thousands, it was like 50 or 100,000 babies are born every day. Yeah, that's statistics. And they're not going to stop being born. And people are going to continue to die, but they're not going to die to the extent that they're going to catch up with the births. But Jesus said we'll always have the poor with us. And a version of that is we'll always have the lost with us. Because at some point, God's going to say, stop. And he's going to do what he needs to do. in the furthest of time, regardless of how many babies are still being born and the fact that there's going to be souls left out there. Depending on whether you're talking about what part of the end times you're talking about, the Great Tribulation or what have you. And it's our understanding that people will be saved during the tribulation. They'll have that opportunity. Okay, so, but at some point he's going to say stop. But I myself wanted to take the time to think about all these years, how have I thought about God? Is he someone that I need to be careful around? Is he someone I need to manipulate? Have you ever manipulated God? I have. Yeah. Yeah, I pulled all kinds of things, and I'm not going to get too personal, but I pulled all kinds of stunts when my wife was sick, and she ended up passing away on us. And I made all kinds of promises and deals and this and that. I was pretty much out of my mind at the time. And I just basically tried to manipulate God into doing what I wanted him to do. I didn't care about the fact that maybe he had just decided it was her time. I didn't care about that. I didn't like the outcome. So I had to wrangle with that for a long time. I'm okay now, but it takes time. It's very emotional, those situations. Let's break off from this for a little bit. And let's look in your hymnal on page 144. Everybody knows who Martin Luther is. All the pictures I've ever seen of Martin Luther, he seemed like a big guy. Am I right? A big, healthy guy. I wouldn't want to call him fat or anything, but robust. And anybody that could nail those theses on that door, on that church door, and be that audacious, he's a pretty blustery, outspoken kind of guy. And I think, in my reading about Martin Luther, I think he had a lot in common with his perception of God the Father. And I think that's why he got so much done, and I think that's how he changed the course of Christianity and got the Reformation going so that we could have a church like this and still worship freely. So, but I want to look at some of the words that he used, starting with verse 1. A mighty fortress is our God. I happen to see God as a fortress too, as like a rock. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark. Bulwark? What's a bulwark? Is it a wall? Is it a defensive position? Some of you guys that were in the military, what would you call a bulwark? Or we'll just go with my definition. A bulwark never failing. Now his attitude was pretty pro-God, and he wasn't afraid. There were a lot of priests in that day and time. We're talking about the 19th, 18th century, and the language was still pretty much Middle English at the time. So when we sing this thing, sometimes we have trouble. We can get our words crossed up real easy with this by the way that he states it. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Our helper, he amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. Okay, let's slow that down. Our helper, he is our helper amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. And he's going to Martin Luther's going to mention this more than once, this idea of the prevailing sin in the world. For still our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe. Who is that? That's pretty obvious there. Isn't he talking in terms almost military? I mean, he's calling Satan our foe as if he's going to attack him. And that would go with his personality. Our ancient foe doth seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. He's got Lucifer pegged. Okay, he doesn't like him, and he wants to attack him, basically. So he's being very aggressive about the whole thing. Now, how does that fit into your concept of what God is? Do you see God in that way? Do you see God as aggressive? Or have you thought about it much? Some people might see God as someone who just accentuates the love angle, who's always there for us and waits on us, and so forth. And armed with cruel hate on earth is not his equal. Okay, Martin Luther knew the nature of the enemy. Still, his kingdom is forever. Okay, let's look at a few other words, and then I'm going to switch off. Did we in our own strength confide? We know what confide is. Our striving would be losing. Did we in our own strength confide? That'd be a loss. Okay, it would take a loss pretty quick. Our striving would be losing. We're not the right man. I think this is interesting, the way he says the right man is the right man on the job. We're not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing. We know who that is, right? Yes? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Just ask who that may be. Just ask who that may be. Christ Jesus, it is he. Lord Sabaoth, his name, from age to age the same. And he must win the battle. Notice he says he must win the battle, the words he uses. Okay, quickly we'll go through 3 and 4. And though this world with devils filled, I just think it's so interesting with this guy, Martin Luther, his perception of the world around him. It's antagonistic. What would you call the world around us? Would it be antagonistic?
Dangers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's filled with dangers just walking out your front door every day. It's just the time we live in. And though the world with devils filled should threaten to undo us, we will not fear, for God hath willed his truth to triumph through us. So he's going to get it done with who? He's going to get it done with us. It's on us. Okay? Whatever we make out of our efforts. The prince of darkness grim, we trembled not for him. Okay, basically he's saying he's not scared of the devil. We tremble not for him. His rage we can endure. Okay, he continues with this attitude. For lo, his doom is sure. One little word shall fail him. No big deal. No big deal, because who's on his side? God is on his side. And God has the man to get it done. Okay, that word above all earthly powers, no thanks to him, abideth. The Spirit and the gifts are ours through him with us sideth. Through him with us, who with us sideth. He sides with us. Let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also, the body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. Okay, did you get that? The body they may kill. And then the effort continues. You might die, but the effort is going to continue. We're going to continue to fight Lucifer in the world. God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever. Okay, I wanted to draw out the attitude of Martin Luther. What do y'all see as the attitude of most people as far as the fight? Do you consider it a fight, really? Or is God just kind of majestic and there for us? Is he just kind of let us know what we should do? Or do you see him? How do you think we should be in the fight? Do you see it as a fight?
Yeah. It's a struggle.
Right.
I think it's a fight. I think you gotta get people saved, and then don't be afraid. Things you know that's true in the Bible, don't be afraid of saying those things that may offend somebody when you know it's, because you're not judging them, you're not judging because it's already been judged through God.
Okay, so basically it's truth.
It's truth, yeah. Just don't be afraid to,
Okay. Some of us who have gone out witnessing on Saturday mornings have talked about this, about the frame of mind we're in, but really we're going to battle. When you think about it, because we're doing something that's not always natural. We're going out, and you can say, well, maybe it's not confrontation, but I call it confrontation. And I don't look at it really as a bad thing with what we're trying to do here. So we go out and we confront people, and it's a fight. We're not fighting them. We're not going to jump them or anything like that. But we are fighting the guy that I call Dark Man. That's my pet name for Lucifer, Satan, Slewfoot, whatever you call him. What do y'all call him? Y'all ever talk? I guess y'all don't talk to him. I try not to talk to him. I try not to talk to him.
I rebuke him.
Ma'am?
I said I rebuke him.
Good. Right on.
You have to.
Well, you can take a number of attitudes when you go like that. And I really wasn't going to preach on visitation or anything like that, but you can have the attitude, Lord, just let me get home alive. Or you can have the attitude, empower me, Lord. Whatever's on the other side of that door, make me able to handle it. Let's get something done, Lord, today. So there's something in common there with Martin Luther, and I think the general attitude of the Christian, in my opinion, and that's really all it is right now, because I'm not God and I don't speak for God in that degree, but in my opinion, I think it's a fight. And I think it's possible to have revival. I was listening to an old preacher on YouTube this morning, and he's a pretty well-known preacher, but he's not with us anymore. And he was up there and he was talking about, can you still have revival? Is it possible? But why are we asking, why are we framing questions like that? Can we do this? Or we're going to do this. But you look at the world out there and it's real easy to surmise that revival's gone. There's not enough good people out there to do revival. There's not enough people that want to be saved. There's not enough material to work with out there to have revival. Oh, would that be your attitude? Or what would the attitude be? Would it be another Martin Luther attitude?
You know, I go to the door quite a bit.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And the older folks are a lot more confrontational. They don't even want to talk to me, or they know everything. But I'm telling you, the younger people, I'm getting them. I'm preaching the gospel to them, and they're accepting right and left. And I'm serious about it. I'm like, I'm very detailed oriented. I'm making sure they understand it's eternal. I'm making sure that all these things they're eating it up, and they're taking the younger people. So
okay.
I mean, I go during on my lunch breaks because
right.
They're there. The younger people are there.
Right.
And they're accepting it. I mean, I believe there could be a revival.
Okay, that was my next question. This old gentleman said he talked about all the negativity, and he talked about all the things that he had to go through in his years. And he said, you might think I'm a negative person because of all the things I've seen and all the things I talk about. But actually, I'm kind of an optimist. I think there could be revival. Because what did the people say that got revival? Going back through the ages, what did they say before they got revival? Were there some naysayers? Or maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe we're putting too much emphasis on this. But the point that the old preacher made was that you can't have revival. And guess what? How's it going to get done? I see you nodding your head. Go ahead and tell me.
Through us.
Through us. Through people. God uses people. Okay? I didn't tell him to do that. I didn't say it was good or bad or anything else on using people to do God's work. That's the way he does it. It's all throughout the scriptures.
Yep.
There's a horizontal relationship that we have with each other. And then we have the vertical. And you need them both. You got to have that vertical with the Lord. But you got to have that horizontal. You got to be able to talk to people. Now, should you go out scared talking to people? Well, how do you get unscared?
Just do it. You gotta do it. It goes away.
You have to ask the Holy Spirit to
Yeah,
give it to
that's
you
true.
before you
Okay.
even go.
Okay.
That's exactly
And
right.
talk through you. I know I
But you're there, right?
yes.
And that does help. It does help. If you don't do that, there's a definite difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And all the great revival movements of the world, you've had a batch of naysayers who didn't really want to do it. The time wasn't right or whatever. And you had enough people who did want to do it that they went ahead and did it, and they set the world on fire. Okay, so why are we different? What are we afraid of? What's out there? What boogabear is out there that we're afraid of? Someone's opinion? Someone thinks we're weird?
We are.
I think in a lot of cases we're more fearful of man than we are of God.
I think you're right. I think we all have our individual boogabears. I think we have certain things that really bother us. And because I've talked to people that go out witnessing and visitation and all that kind of thing, and they're usually very forthcoming about the fact that when they get started, when they get there, and they get their tracts, and we pray and they suck it up, they're scared. They're scared to death. Let's just be honest. It's not easy to do that kind of stuff. It's not easy to foment revival. You got to get people involved. You got to get them wanting to get revival. Well, why would we want to do that? Why do we need revival for? We're doing all right. This is a pretty little church, and we run about 40 people, and we all love each other, and there's no troublemakers, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why would we want to change anything? Maybe to save some people and get more people in here? That's pretty basic, isn't it? Okay, I'm not God's gift to soul winning or anything like that. I'm one of those guys with scars and fears, and I don't want some 7-foot guy opening the door and punching me out. But who said that ever happened? That has never happened to me. Why would I bring that up? Why would I bring that up that somebody might attack me? That has never happened. Is it because just the way the world is? Okay, I need to jump to something else real quick, and am I out of time?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump then. Hopefully I won't hurt myself. Okay, if you want to go to Psalm 46, and I'm going to read through this, and I'll bring up a couple of things. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Now, do we all see that? Do we all see how God is a refuge in our hour of trouble? I think we can all agree on that. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed. Now keep in mind what I said in the beginning, that God could just stomp us. He could just obliterate this orb quick, if he wanted to, if he really wanted to do that. Okay. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. Sounds a lot like that mustard seed analogy. Though the waters thereof roar and be troubled. Ooh. Though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Scary. There is a river. If I have time, I'll read it. I'll read the words real quick because I love the song. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God. Now we're talking about a river. We're talking about mountains thrown into the sea, big scale. But now we're bringing it back a little bit, bringing it back to a river. Okay. The city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. God's in the midst of all this. He's the mover and the shaker. Okay, we're just doing his bidding. He's telling us what to do, and he's saying go. He's winding us up and go. Okay? And it's up to us to get what he's trying to say to us. We got to figure it out. The holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High, God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her. And that right early. What does right early mean? It means quick. It means early in the morning, really. God shall help her. Now who's he helping? Is he helping the lost? Is he helping? What did 4 say? There is a river, the streams which shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her. And that right over. So on the one hand, we have God blowing up the world here. And then on the second hand, he throttles back. And he's bringing out his peace and love. Okay, so he shows us one thing. He shows us another thing. He works with us in one way, and then he'll back it up, and he'll work with us another way until we get it, until we get what he's trying to say. The heathen raged. Now, the last part of this is not what we might think. It's going to be juxtaposed against what we just read, which is he throttled up and then he calmed down. Okay, now he's doing something else. Can he do that? Can God decide what's important to him? Yeah, because he's God. Anything he wants to do is okay with me. I just got to say it. Now, I wouldn't want to have to get violent on anybody because I might not be able to hold up my end. But I'm just saying, whatever it is he wants me to do, I'm up for it. If he's going to lay it out there for me and just tell me what it is, and that's my prayer every morning, is tell me what it is, Lord. What do you want me to do today? Show me. Because I don't care what it is. Okay, God shall help her, and that right early. Let's see how far. Okay, the heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. That's God in action. Now, why did he do that for? Why did he decide to do that? I don't know. I don't care. But it shows that God can react very quickly. He can change his mind. We've seen instances in the Bible where he changed his mind. That's okay, isn't it? The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Now it's starting to sound more like Martin Luther. This is the kind of stuff Martin Luther liked. I think he enjoyed posting those 95 Theses. I think he enjoyed tweaking the Pope. Don't you? That what we know of him? And this guy's a Jesuit priest. He's an educated man. He's educated in Catholicism. He knows all of it. The sacraments, every bit of it. Okay, and had been in it for years, and all of a sudden he's reading Ephesians. Is it Ephesians or Galatians? I'm going to guess and say I'll go towards Galatians.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it was, but I could always be wrong. But it opened up a whole new world to him, and the Holy Spirit came in and opened his eyes. Now, this is a dude that's been a bureaucrat for probably 20 years or something, and towing the mark, doing what the boss man says. The God of Jacob is our refuge. The Lord of hosts is with us. Verse 8 says, come, behold the works of the Lord. Come, behold the works of the Lord. What desolations he hath made in the earth. And they're saying, come on, look at this. And they're in wonderment at what the Lord has just done. Okay? He maketh wars to cease. Now here we go. Now he's going to throttle back all the way. Now I'm wondering if this is the end, what he determines to be the end. And I do wonder how close we are. I'm like everybody else. I see things going on and I wonder, God, is this it? Is this? I sure hope so. And then when I talk like that, some people chastise me and say, yeah, but so-and-so's not saved. You know, so he needs to wait. So I'll let y'all ponder that. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He maketh wars to cease. So now God's putting his power to ceasing war and violence. He breaketh the bow. Now this sounds good to me because in my lifetime, I'm 73 years old, and in my lifetime I've watched, and I didn't go to war. No, I didn't avoid it or anything like that. But I had a few friends who went, and I had others who didn't go. I know people who went through it, and other people who never did. So I don't have anything to say about that. But it sounds good to me to hear that we're stopping war. You know, I feel such a relief, because when I turn on the TV or I read a magazine or newspaper or whatever, it's constant, day after day after day. Someone's killing somebody. We should not need to be living like that. That's not what God had in mind. Now, sometimes if you need to defend yourself, I understand that, then you're going to have to defend yourself. So I'm not taking a stand on that. But I sure wish that we could get to the point where God would just stop all the crazy wars. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Now, what would a chariot be in battle? That's not artillery, is it? He said. Now, I sent this verse out to, I send texts out to the family and to the grandkids, if I like it, especially if it's short and pithy. And I try to encourage them as much as I can, and I have to do it through the text, because I can't always catch them or get to them when I want to. Be still and know that I am God. That's all I've sent out. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. He's going to be exalted. He's going to be exalted. Whether we do it or anybody does it. Like when it said the stones will cry out. If you can't do it, the stones will do it. It's going to happen. I will be exalted in the earth. Last verse. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. And that is where I was trying to bring us, is to that point. That the God of Jacob is our, I would say, mighty refuge. Because he's got all the answers. Okay, and we sure don't. Okay, I'm sorry about, this was supposed to be about 10 minutes. Okay, wait a minute. Get back over here. Okay, there is a river. Now I want you to hear the gentleness. Think back about what we just read in the troubles and all of that stuff. There is a river, and it flows from deep within. And I don't have the. We didn't have that, did we? That song. Okay. There is a river, and it flows from deep within. And I would think it was great if the men singers would sing this sometime. I think it would sound great. There is a fountain that frees the soul from sin. Come to this water. There is a vast supply. Now think about the river. Think about casting the mountains into the sea. Think about all that. Okay, and look at this. Come to this water. You're not running from it. Come to this water. There is a vast supply. There is a river that never shall run dry. And there was this thirsty woman. She was drawn from the well. You see, her life was ruined and wasted, and her soul was bound for hell. That describes a lot of people. We could reach out and touch them every day. Every day. People that don't know the Lord. Okay, come on now. Let's see. There's a river that never shall run dry. There was a thirsty woman. Okay. Oh, but then she met the Master. And he told her her sin, and he said, if you'll drink this water, you'll never thirst again. Now, how hard is it to tell somebody that? If you really believe it. If you really believe it in your heart, it's not that hard. There is a fountain that frees the soul from sin. Oh, come to this water. There is a vast supply. There is a river that never shall run dry. Okay, thanks a lot for putting up with me. And do we need to have a prayer or something, or go right in?